Well, the second time I've had the privilege of saying some kind things to both Ken and Melody. We had a special farewell with all the district superintendents and the vice presidents and so on and so forth. And that was a very special evening. And I just want to open by saying that Ken is always a national presence, and that what I have seen over these 12 years in you is a growing heart. And I think that one of the places where that heart has been growing has been in relationship to Quebec. And for somebody, for some of us, Quebec is still kind of an enigma. I won't say it's an enigma wrapped in a riddle particularly, but it is somewhat of an enigma. And it's hard for us to understand the secularity, the religiosity of Quebec. And Ken has made, from out here, has made a major effort to do that. And what really spoke to me about that effort and that journey was when he described in one of our meetings, how in district superintendent meeting actually, how he stood on the top of Mount Royal and looked out over Montreal and saw the church spires and realized that there was a church had been specifically built so that there would be a church, a Catholic church, in walking distance of every single person. And that just spoke to him about, saturation evangelism, about reaching people where they are, and about the fact, of course, unspoken almost, the fact that by and large those churches are now empty. And that tells us about that province's needs and about the need for all of us here in Alberta and across the country to join hands to speak again the gospel to Quebec. So thank you for that. Ken has been a spokesperson for Quebec, which Quebec needs. As well, in our meetings, Ken is not a leader, Ken is a peer. And you see him as a leader. Essentially, when I'm with Ken, he's in a room of peers. And there he has also grown, his heart has grown for church planting and for the growth of a movement of churches across Canada. That came to fruition when the district superintendents really said, we are going to join hands. We're not going to think of ourselves as separate entities anymore. We're going to join hands for a movement across Canada, and we're going to call it C2C. Ken has been a major part of that, helping write numerous papers and endless discussions and endless meetings that go on in the deep background, so to speak, to bring that movement, a growing and emerging movement, forward for Canada as a whole. But finally, I want to say that I've seen Ken grow in his heart of being as what has already been mentioned, but I saw that grow as a heart of pastor to pastors. It's one thing to be a pastor and for all your pastors to be peers, but it's another thing to step into this role, which you're going to also choose someone else to step in this week, and to become a pastor to pastors. And it's a very difficult role to play, let me tell you. It's probably the most difficult, more difficult than my role, very difficult role to play in our system, because the district superintendent has to do two things. One, he has to love and encourage. At the same time, he has to draw a line and say, here's a line for you. You're not to cross this line. Ken has done that very well. He's been willing to give people a second chance. He's been willing to encourage them toward a second chance. But he's also been willing to draw lines that should not be crossed. He's been willing to nurture and to bring forward and develop pastors. So we're very grateful for that. And you've done that so well. So God bless you.